Welcome to Refined Conversations, a podcast where faith is unfiltered and authenticity is required. Every conversation is unscripted, so come prepared for the raw truth of what walking with God can really look like. Settle in, open your heart, and let's dive into today's conversation. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It supports our channel, and we appreciate your feedback. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Refined Conversations. I'm your host, Courtney. Today we have André Hughes on with us. Welcome to the podcast, André.
Hello, everybody. How are we doing?
I'm excited to have you on here. This is going to be a great conversation.
I'm ready for it. I've been waiting for this. Let's do it.
All right. So we're going to open in prayer and then we'll jump to our first question. Father God, I thank you for André. I thank you for bringing us together. I pray that you would open our minds and our hearts to all that you speak through us during this episode. I pray that every person listening would glean from this episode whatever you have for them. I pray that you would minimize us and maximize who you are so that you get the praise, the glory, and the honor. We give thanks and we ask these blessings in the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So the question I have for you is, how do we unbind leadership? And the context behind the question is, how do we as Christians create more leaders when we have so many followers within the church and recognize our call to lead?
Yeah. So when you asked me this question, I couldn't really figure out how to move in the unbinding of leadership. Yes, you're right. There's a ton of followers, but I think I wanted to reframe it.
Okay.
How do we as Christian leaders, how do we be able to take a back seat and still lead? And it goes along with the conversation you and I had prior to doing this about how you've led from the front for most of your career, and now you're ready to lead from the back.
Yeah.
But how do we as Christians lead from the back, but still rely on our faith, still rely on what brought us there? And I have a few ideas, so it's going to be a good conversation. So what it took me to, there was a couple of places in the Bible, John 13:16. It really spoke about, this is when Jesus was washing feet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when I thought about your question, what type of leaders are Christian leaders, or what type of leaders should Christian leaders be? And the first thing that came to mind is servant leaders. You can still be a CEO of a company. A lot of people think, oh, those leaders, they're driven by greed. They think they're driven by money, but you can still be a top level leader with a servant leadership mindset. So it took me into John 13:16 and Jesus washing of the feet and saying, hey, do as I do. As I've done for you, this is how I want you to do for others. And how does that move into leadership? Well, it's the same thing. God's given us awesome gifts. We all have abilities and strengths. How do we teach those around us, and then back up to allow them to shine, allow them to come forth? It still shows us as great leaders. And I think that might be where the unbinding comes in. We always think we've got to be up front, and it's not that way.
Yeah. I think there's a level of humility that comes from going through that transition into servant leadership that a lot of us are very uncomfortable sitting in, because servant leadership is a lot of work. You see Jesus walking and he's talking to all these people in the midst of it, but at the same time, he's teaching. And I feel like when you're leading from the front, you're making all the decisions most of the time. And everybody kind of takes a back seat to the role that you're in.
Right.
And when God kind of moved me, and especially in 2025, he moved me into servant leadership, because I had to really understand what that meant. That meant me in the kitchen washing dishes. That meant me taking out the trash. That meant me saying, hey, do you guys want some more coffee? Do you need this?
Yeah.
Do you need that? What can I do for you?
Yeah.
And doing that and being seen, but not being heard.
Right.
In that moment, and being able to lead through actions. I feel like what a lot of leaders miss in different seasons and different transition, just different seasons of different type, being a different type of leader. A lot of things that we miss is the impact that we actually have and the lessons that are being taught. A lot of what Christ did, he would tell you the parable. And then wait for you to ask the question so that you would get the understanding. And then you could go back and what did he say? tell them what I told you.
Right.
Teach them how I taught you. And
Right.
as a servant leader, that is your message. See me, how I lead and how I serve. Now take this and go and serve others. And
Yeah.
so, in my way to leading to the back, I'm still like, I don't put down the servant leader because, like, I'm actually still in that season.
Hmm.
But as far as my company goes, I lead from the back because now I'm able to entrust you
Right.
because you've seen how I lead. Like
Right.
I feel like servant leadership is also a teaching moment
It
to
is.
allow people to find their strengths and their passion and what they're good at and
Hmm.
start doing that for the benefit of others. I always look at leadership in my own life as like, how am I furthering the kingdom? How am I helping and impacting those that are around me? And within servant leadership, it's literally never about you.
It's not. It's not. What's crazy is I've been a leader of people for 20 something years, right? Senior operations, leading in the military, all those things. But then at church, I'm not a leader at all. I'm
Hmm.
on the outreach team, and I'm just here to support. If they ask me to do things, I just go out and do them. And I don't know if that is leadership in itself, but being able to make that adjustment and
Hmm.
not try to handle everything, because at church I wouldn't know the first thing about I wouldn't know the first thing about leading, deacons and that type of thing, or I probably wouldn't be able to lead a Bible study to be honest. But I know that the skills I have, the leadership abilities I have, and being a servant leader, those can play out anywhere.
Yeah.
I can support people. I can maybe help people to think things in a different way. I can bring the energy and all of those things, and all of that I think is leading. And you're right. That's
Absolutely.
exactly what like Jesus came to show us. To do those things. So yeah.
Yeah. But in the midst of all that, he was also submitted to God in his leadership.
Hmm.
And so when you say, like, I might not be able to lead a Bible study, I don't know where leadership fits. Your submission to God is how that fits.
Correct.
And what gives you the capacity to step into leadership. It's so funny because this morning I led my first Bible study with a new
Look,
group.
look, look at you.
Exactly. So I'm
Yeah.
sitting here like, I was nervous,
Hmm.
but I had a time of prayer this morning, like, Lord, I need you in this situation. I was not able to finish writing out the study until 15 minutes before it started.
Oh wow.
Like, that is taking a back seat and surrendering to God and saying, I'm your servant here and you are
Yeah.
speaking through me. And
Yeah.
he was like, all right, we're going to fine tune this at the
Yeah.
very last moment. How much do you trust me? And so I'm literally saying hi to people and typing at the same time.
Yeah.
And it might be uncomfortable. I feel like servant leadership is not meant to be comfortable. It's meant to be very raw. When you talked about Christ washing the feet,
Hmm.
there's a moment, and I was actually headed towards John because I love the story of John, but it's like there's a moment where Christ is washing the feet and it's Peter and he's like, we should be washing your feet, Lord. We should be doing this.
Right.
And he's like, stop, let me do this.
Show
And
you.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so, but I feel like in that moment, what Christ did, getting on his knees, wrapping the towel around him, washing their feet, he was showing them what they were going to do, what
Yeah.
it meant to serve those that were following you and offering a platform to them in a way,
Hmm.
because this is now what I'm passing on to you. This is the last moment that I will ever do this for you.
You know what's crazy? I'll go even deeper.
Mm,
I read it. I read it a few times, and then what I noticed was Jesus even washed Judas's feet,
yes.
already knowing that he was
Oh,
the one that was going to betray him. And so, what does that mean for us? You're going to have haters.
hmm.
You're going to have people who are going to tell you you're not good enough, or you're not a great leader. You're going to have detractors. You're going to have all those things. How do you show up with those people versus how do you show up with those people that you love and you care
Yeah.
for? It's
Exactly
it's a
the
crazy
same way that you
story.
show up for those that you love. And I think
Yeah,
that's the challenge that we as leaders have and just people in general.
it
It's
is.
like, oh, you don't like me? I don't like
Yeah.
you either then. Like,
Okay.
like, why would I give you the
All
time
right.
of day? It's like showing kindness to your enemies to the point where nobody knows that that's actually your enemy.
Correct.
but
Yeah.
being so aware of the schemes of the enemy
Right.
that he thinks that he's getting over on you, but you're like,
Right.
nah, I'm locked in with God.
Right.
There's nothing, there's no wool over my eyes.
Right. But
and
it
so,
shows God too, because like
yeah.
your enemies, they will reflect. There's going to come a time of reflection for them as well, for people,
Oh, for sure.
yeah. So we all have to look at ourselves. And I think that's why that's important. It's going to
Yeah.
force you to look at yourself.
And it goes back to your humility as a leader to be
Mhm.
able to do that and to still serve someone in a capacity where you know that they are betraying you, talking bad behind your back, that they don't have a heart for the mission and the work that you're doing, that they
Right.
are the detractor, deterrent from the work that you're doing. And to be able to just come in the same posture
It's
to
not easy.
them that you do as your top employee or
Yep.
the top person that follows you.
Yeah.
And I
It's
think
not
that
easy.
that's a really hard thing, and honestly, I have not excelled at that. Like,
I don't know many
let's be
people who
real.
have, but we're not Jesus, so I get
I'm
it.
over here like you little Judas, like going somewhere. But I feel like as we continue to grow and as God shifts our hearts towards people, we'll be able to love and to serve them in a way that convicts their heart to the
Correct.
point where they don't even want to be around you. Have you
Correct.
ever seen that person on the team that's like, their manager doesn't treat them any different and kind of takes what they throw at them?
Hmm.
And at a certain point, they get so frustrated, they just leave the
They
company.
just walk
I've
out.
and I've been on the other side of that where I've had a manager that treated me horribly.
Hmm.
And I prayed to God and I was like, okay, it's me or him. One of us has to leave. And within 2 weeks, he put in his notice. And I was like,
Nice.
okay, I'll stay put.
Right.
And so I feel like as a leader, our job is always to seek God in all things and not work from our own strength.
Yeah.
And if we work from our own strength, that's where that aggression and that anger comes in, and we become combative with that person
Yeah.
rather than rising above and being humble and staying in a posture of humility like Christ did, being
Yeah.
able to wash the feet of the Judas in our life.
Yeah. Andre will fail every time. I know that right off the jump. If you leave it to me, I'm failing every time. So it forces me to go back into the word. It forces me to pray.
Mhm.
It reminds me, like, throughout the day, I have to take a moment and say, Lord, is this what's going on here? Like, just real conversations with God about
Mhm.
what's happening around me, and going for a walk and centering and all those things, that I think are important. But it forces you, it moves you back into a relationship with God. And I think that's what's
Oh
important.
yeah. Yeah, and I think that one of the other things that's just popped into into my spirit, but one of the other things that I never actually thought about is how Jesus never felt the need, like he didn't feel the need to confront Judas
Right.
and tell him about himself.
Right.
And I feel like as leaders, sometimes our job is simply to be quiet
Yep.
and
That's good.
allow people to just be their own torment
That's good.
and move through it. Because I feel like sometimes when we over engage and we try to fix, we actually end up making it worse, not just for them, but for others around us and for ourselves. Because then people begin to question
Mhm.
kind of your mindset of like, okay, if you know they're like this, why aren't you doing anything about it?
Right. No, you're right. You're right. I think to that point, if say you have a Judas, it's it's very important for you to take a step back, and consider, like, what impact you're having. Are you coming with the right mindset? Are you
Yeah.
coming with a clean spirit? Are you coming with these things? And if you can say that, and if you can believe in that and trust in that, then you're doing the right things.
Absolutely. I feel like the posture of your heart plays a role in any kind of leadership position that you're at, no matter
Yeah.
if you're leading from the side, you're leading from the front, the back, you're in a servant's role. Like it's always determined how far you go based on the posture of your heart. And
Yeah.
I would say staying deeply rooted in your word. James is a book of the Bible that is like, when I was realizing, oh, God's calling me into a different kind of leadership in this season, one of the
Hmm.
first studies I did on leadership, nothing but James.
Wow. Wow.
And I wish, let me see. There's if I can find it quickly. There
Yeah,
is
okay.
actually a verse in James, and I think it's James 3:1.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah, 3:1.
Yeah.
Here we go. So
Mhm.
James 3:1, I'm reading from the Christian Standard Version, and it says, "Not many should become teachers, my brothers, because you know that we will receive stricter judgment."
Mhm.
This humbled me
Yeah.
quick. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
what you mean? What you
Yeah.
mean? I'm gonna get in trouble? Like my version of trouble, my judgment is gonna be higher than his? Like, are you okay? So that
Yeah.
means that when God puts you in a leadership role and he calls you to something higher and he gives you a flock to shepherd,
Yep.
you have to take care of them with the utmost care.
Yep.
And I go back to other verses where it's like, if anyone causes one of these little ones to
Just
stray, and
to
I'm like,
stumble. Yeah.
the the weight of those words really fell upon my heart. And I was like, do I actually want to do this? Like, let me stop.
Mhm.
Because even when I started this podcast, I was like, at first I was saying, this is not ministry. Like, I don't see this as ministry. And so
No.
many people were like, it is ministry. It's just
Yeah.
not the version of ministry you expected it to be.
Right.
And so I had to, I waited. I did not start this until 2025, even though I had started the interviews in 2024. And I was like,
Wow.
okay, wait, Lord, I need to sit with this, because what does that wait mean? What does it mean for me and how I need to come before your children? How am
Mhm.
I supposed to talk about you? And God was like, he's going to usher me through. But the thing about it is, when you stay in a posture of obedience to God's will, it lightens what this verse says, even
Yeah.
though I still feel
Feel
the
it.
weight
You
of his
still feel
word.
it. Yeah.
Exactly.
I I I thought about this a while back, and just like you, what is ministry? Do I need to serve at the church? Do I have to find myself there? But I have found that my gifts, and really it relates a lot to the Bible. God uses the strangest people, the
Mhm.
worst people, the people you would never, that aren't the
Yeah.
popular, he uses those people for the ministry. And I consider myself kind of an off, a weird kind of guy. I don't, I'm odd, I'm outgoing, and sometimes I'm not, and all those things. But God uses me in ways that I would have never thought of, and
Mhm.
they're not typical. They're not, they're not related to a church, but he uses me. And when I finally started just looking at that and taking a step back and allowing him to work, that's when I knew for sure that I was in alignment. So it's probably the
Yeah.
same with you. Once you took a step back and you were like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
this is.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
think what a lot of people don't realize is your entire life is ministry, because
It-
God's using all of your life. And the
correct.
moment that you are at a gas station
Yep.
and you see somebody and they're like, can you pray for me? Can you help me?
Yeah.
The way that you treat them and interact with them is the Lord's ministry. So
Yep.
this weight falls upon every single person, whether you want to
Right.
realize it or not. I don't need 100,
Right.
1,000 people underneath me to
Right.
be in ministry. And I
Yeah.
think that we don't consider that enough. And so it's so funny that you were like, God uses the odd people. I honestly, I sit with you in the odd, like,
Yeah. You're
I
in,
just
you're in the
had a
group.
whole episode where I referenced Dora the Explorer to the Bible.
Yes, yes. I'll
Like,
sing it for you right now. I'm a girl dad. I know all of that. I'm good.
but I'm like, I feel like God, throughout the Bible, look at Paul. It's just
Yeah,
like God uses the most opportune moments to teach. He uses the most backwards people. Like, you
right.
used to kill Christians and now you wrote
Now
most
you're
of the New
bringing them
Testament.
back? Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
But that just shows who he is and his grace over our lives, and how he can use any circumstance and any person, and
yeah.
how we limit ourselves with the belief that, oh, God can't use me because I was so unclean for so long. One
I've
of the
been there.
people that I absolutely love on social media right now, her name is Keisha. And I
Okay,
saw her on the We Need to Talk podcast with Ezekiel.
okay.
And Keisha used to be a prostitute. And I literally found myself praying to God after her episode, saying, Lord, I want to be her friend. I love this woman. Like, I love
Oh,
her energy. I love how explosive she is. And
right.
I'm like, I don't like loud people. But at the same time, I'm like, oh my God, she feels
Keisha.
like home.
Yeah.
And so
Mm,
he will use anybody. Your
mm,
story resonates with somebody. And that's the whole basis of like discipleship and like how we are supposed to come before God and his people and translate ministry. And one of the things that I always tell people about refined conversations is people are always looking for a way to be used by God, but they don't know
They
what the
don't know.
opportunities are. They don't
Yeah.
know what to do. They don't know how to embrace it, how to approach it.
Right.
And one of the reasons I love refined conversations is because I get to talk to the everyday person.
Right.
This is the place where you have the ability to
Yeah.
disciple, to share your story, and to bring people in. And you're actually somebody that they can contact and reach out to, and it
Yeah.
makes a difference.
No, it really does. Because likewise, I have, I have a story. Everybody has a story, right?
Hmm.
But I've thought in the last year, okay, I went from losing everything, and
Hmm.
most of it of my own accord, um, to finding new life, if we could say it that way. And God has brought me through every step of this journey.
Yeah.
So then now we're at the step, how do I share this? How do I show other
Mm.
people that they can also go from losing everything to rebuilding their life to living honestly and with authenticity, and how do I share that with the people who need? And that's why refined conversations is great, because it
Yep.
allows us to talk about these things and say, and really, to be real, and this, you and I had this conversation previously. How real can we be?
100%.
100%. So I'll be,
Respectfully, of course.
of course, of course. So I'll be 100% real. I lost my job because of something I shouldn't have done. I couldn't afford my house. Once I sold my house, I didn't have a place to live. I was in my car for a week. She ended a 4.5 year relationship. I was at the lowest point in my life. And this wasn't, 5, 6, 7 years ago. This was a couple of years ago. This is a year and a half, 2 years ago. Um, and I really had to look inside and say, what am I not doing? What am I missing? What is not a part of my life? And the number one thing I came back to was God wasn't a part of my life at that point. I took him for granted. I removed him. I thought I could do it by myself. And that's why I say, I can't wake up by myself. That's how I
Hmm.
will ruin the whole day if I just wake up by myself. But this here, the refined conversation, it's an opportunity for me to say, look, if I could go from that to positively speaking to people about, hey, this is not the end for you. This is a moment in time. This may be God's wake up
Yeah.
call to you to finally use the gifts that you have to empower other people and to move your life forward. Then what better place to do it? So I appreciate what you're doing, and it definitely is a platform. So I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. And I honestly, I love it. Your circumstances don't define where God can take you or what he can do or how far you can go.
Not even a little
And that
bit.
is something I constantly have to remind myself. I 20 years ago would never thought, never thought, imagined I would do this. I didn't know what a podcast was 20 years ago. And so
Right.
it's beautiful watching the progression in which God moves you through life and
Hmm.
how he constantly opens you up. I got a message from my dad a couple of days ago when he was watching one of the podcasts when it came out, and he was like, the shy little girl. Who would have thought, like, love to sing? And he's like, you have so much of your mom in you. Who I am right now, it's new.
Yeah.
It really is new. This is a version of me that 10 years ago was not there. And
Yeah.
so it just goes to show, like, do not allow your circumstances to hold you from where God's going to bring you. I am not a person that knows I read my Bible, but I don't know verses by heart. I
I
mess
don't
up
either.
verses all the time.
I write them all
And so
down. That's how I
I
remember.
mess up people's names, and you're gonna be like, "Who are you talking about?" I'd be like, "I don't know," because I couldn't pronounce his name. So just rock with me for now.
Yeah, you know what I'm
But
talking about.
I mean, God can use anything, and the Holy Spirit will reveal to you what you need. I recall verses in an instant, and then 10 minutes later is like, "What did I say?
Yep.
How did I know that?" I will tell you exactly what the verse says verbatim. And I'm like, I read that like months ago.
Right.
How did I have that instant recall? That's literally the Holy Spirit. So as God guides you, as he leads you, he
Mhm.
will reveal all the things that you need to know in the space that he's taking you to.
Yeah. No, that's real. I've had conversations with people where they were looking for my support, my help, my encouragement, and I had no clue how to help them. Like
Hmm.
zero. Like I couldn't help them with money. I couldn't help them make a decision. But after praying about how to help somebody, answers start coming, things that we neither of us have thought about before, different directions that it's so you're right. If you let the Holy Spirit lead, it's
Hmm.
wild to look back and think that couldn't have been me because I'm not that smart. Two, I'm not that
I'm right there
smart.
with you.
Yeah, I'm not that smart. But if I was a help to them, wow, I know it wasn't me, but that's what I live for. I live for those moments.
Yeah, it's so fun because God will surprise you in certain moments and how he calls you to lead or
Mm,
how he calls you to intervene in a situation. I was at a park last year and I just happened to be walking and there was a girl sitting on the bench and she just looked like she had the weight of the world on her shoulders. And I passed by and then walked back because the Holy Spirit said go talk to her and I just kept walking past her and she looked at me a couple of times. And
mm.
so finally I'm like, "Nah. I'm going to go to my car." And so I'm walking in my car and the Holy Spirit said, "Go back." And so I was like,
Wow.
"Oh, I heard that. I heard that
Yeah.
loud and
No,
clear."
that was real.
I'm like, "Roger that. I'm going back." So
Okay.
I turn around and I go back and I'm like, "Hey, I promise I'm not weird."
Mm.
But the Holy Spirit told me to come and talk to you. She looks at me, her jaw drops, and she just starts bawling. And I'm just like, I did not touch her. I didn't do
It wasn't
anything in
me.
this moment. It
Yeah.
was not me.
Uh-huh.
And we're just like in an open park. And there were people going backwards and forwards. And then I sat down and I'm like, I had my dog. I'm like patting the bench, like, sit down. I think we're gonna be here for a minute.
Get
And I was like,
comfortable.
what's going on? And she explained her situation. And even though I had never been in that situation, the Holy Spirit gave me a word for her as we spoke. I prayed for her
Hmm.
out in public, and I'm not that person. I'm
Hmm.
not a street evangelist or by any means. I don't, that's not my normal
Right.
everyday thing.
Right.
And so I sat there and I prayed with her and I just talked to her. And it was in that moment that we both got blessed. And
Yeah.
so I feel like when you step into what God calls you to, no matter how uncomfortable it is, there's a
Yeah.
blessing for you in it. In
Yeah.
that moment that speaks to you, that also speaks to that person. And that's why your life is ministry. That's why your ability to lead in situations is ministry. And
Yeah.
your ability to serve is always ministry. And
Yeah.
so I think we need to just take it as it comes and not try to keep defining it.
And we're human, so we're really good at trying to
Oh,
define
yeah. We got to title
everything,
everything.
right? We are really good at trying to define. But you're right. It even works on the other side. When I
Mhm.
was going through it, and I was sitting at a cafe, and I I didn't have my Bible in front of me. I wasn't thinking, Lord, help me. I was thinking, what am I going to do? And this couple walked in, and they had a Bible in their hand, and I promise you, I am not the type of person, even though I'm very outgoing, even though I can talk to anybody. I am not the type
Mhm.
of person to walk up to strangers and say, "Will you pray for me?"
Really?
And I did that. And I felt so much weight come off after having a conversation with them for I think it was like 20 minutes. And again, at that point, I still had not gone back to God. I still hadn't crawled back to God saying, please, please, please just help me. But I did that and I felt so much weight come off me. So you're right. But I think it could happen both ways, whether you're the person being called to lead or whether God is saying, you need to go talk to these people right now.
Yeah, because I feel like in your obedience, you inspire.
Yes.
You inspire somebody to step into their gift of intercession.
Yep.
Because in that moment, they could have been like, "Lord, I don't want to pray. I don't
Right.
want to do this. I don't want to do
Right.
this for other people. I will pray for them in secret." I have that problem to where
Okay.
I've had people come to me or God has put me in situations where I was sitting in church and we're in the middle of service and someone starts having a seizure and the mom and the dad are praying over the son and like everybody's doing all the stuff to like get the chairs and stuff out of the way and I'm rocking and I'm praying behind them, but
Hmm.
I never placed my hand on her so that she would know that there was somebody in thought and in prayer for her in that moment. And
Right.
I believe that that was what God was leading me to do, but I was just like, she has her hand on her son. The amount of power and authority that comes off me that goes through her, that joins with her power and authority, that then goes to her son who needs healing,
Right.
would have been amazing to witness.
Right. Yeah.
But I decided to sit back and like rock to myself and pray to the Lord, being like, Lord, please heal this child. He needs help and all this kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with
There's
that.
nothing wrong with
But
that.
in
Yeah.
that moment, I didn't have the courage to be bold.
Yeah.
And honestly, this kind of goes back to leadership because a lot of times we lack courage and boldness in situations, which causes us to retract ourselves and not fully step into what we're being called to do.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. And it happens probably more often than you would think. And
Mhm.
it's probably God saying, I'm trying to show you, I'm trying to show you, I'm
I know.
trying to show you.
It's like, do you trust me? I'm
Right.
like, in this moment, a little bit,
I
a little bit.
mean, a little bit, but what I'm
Like,
not
I
gonna
know that you're
do.
God. I know that you're seating on the throne of heaven, but
Right.
in this
But
moment, we got a little bit of trust. Like, I'm listening to you and I hear you.
yeah,
Oh, this drives me crazy. I receive it.
I receive it.
But I'm not gonna do anything. Like
Wait,
I am horrible with that. Like I heard you. Like
yeah,
even with the woman at the park, I heard you all 3 times. I
but
felt it all 3 times. It wasn't until you yelled at me that I was like, I'm going.
what I'm not gonna do, God, is
What we're not gonna do today is, but I mean, like I feel like there is a bit of fear with transition and leading differently in different seasons. The season where I was leading from the front did not look like the season where I was leading from servant leadership. And my thing is understanding the transition, being able to sense and see the transition and step boldly into what it is, even when you don't understand, trusting that God is calling you to the season for a reason and leaning into that. And I kid you not, I planned a retreat where I was planning to be front and center, honey. Like I'm ready to talk. I have the gift of gab. And
okay.
so from there, it's like God was like, what
Not
you're
you.
not going to do is say a word. Nobody's going to know your name. People might not even see you because you're
Yeah,
busy. You're going to be busy in this season. And
right.
so it wasn't until I accepted that God actually let me go further into that calling, into that place. And then from there, I ended up going into servant leadership and not even at my retreat, at someone else's retreat.
Yeah,
I ended up serving. And I
yeah,
have this whole write up that I wrote post retreat about what servant leadership feels and looks like and means to me now,
yeah.
because the humility that I got from that, I don't need to be front and center. I joined conversations like off to the side, like, hey, can I interject and like just give my 2 cents? And
Hmm.
it's like, it's beautiful being used by God in that way,
Yeah,
but not needing to be the center of attention always and allowing others who
yeah.
normally don't lead to actually take the position and lead. I feel like when we step into servant leadership, we create opportunities for others to step into the full calling.
Yeah, it feels to me like servant leadership is if you were to have a leadership pyramid,
Mhm.
most people would think servant leadership starts on the bottom. That's the first thing I got
Mm-mm.
to do, right? It feels to me like that's the pinnacle of leadership,
Mhm.
right? If after all the leadership skills and abilities and types and learning that you can do, if the last thing you can do is be able to help somebody else step back, be flexible, be resilient, and just lead from the back. Maybe
Yeah.
that is the pinnacle of leadership. Maybe that's when you can really let God just flow through you, and you can figure out, that's how you change people. That's how you change whatever dynamic you're in.
Absolutely. And actually, funny enough, when you said that, I'm a very visual person, so I
Me
literally
too.
saw a triangle.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I even made the triangle.
So don't call out any other shapes because I'm gonna be like a square.
All right.
But no, when you said that, I went back to the initial question of like, what does unbinding leadership look like? And it's
Mm,
unraveling this fallacy that we have in our head that the only way to lead is to lead from the front. Because I
right.
feel like when you are a servant leader, and you are creating capacity for other leaders to lead from where they are, which means you are unbinding that calling and
Yep.
saying, hey, I can lead from here, but you can lead from there. And then we
Right.
can still all lead together. It's so funny how you think there's one leader in a lot of situations,
Yeah.
but you have
Yeah.
the person that's the lateral leader. You
Yep.
have the person that's leading from the back. You have the
Right.
person that's leading from the front, and you have that person. And I look that's the servant leader, but I look at it like when I was in college, we would do group projects. And
Yep.
I'm type A. I'm super, super organized. I would be so angry when anybody told me I had to work with a group
Yeah.
because
I
I'm
wasn't a
like,
fan either.
I was always the person that ended up doing majority of the work. And so I was like, you know what? I remember we went to this restaurant called La Madeleine, and I was like, I'm going to get a croissant and I'm going to get a coffee and I'm just going to sit off to the side.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going to let somebody else lead. And I'm just gonna see who takes initiative because they don't know me that well.
Okay.
This was a new class, a new group.
Mm.
And so we're in the back and we're all at a table with our stuff all sprawled out. And we're like, okay, so who's group leader? Who's gonna be the secondary group leader? I didn't volunteer for leader or secondary, which is very much not
That's not
like
you.
me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, let's see what they do.
Mhm.
Two people went for leader and secondary leader. And one of them was Sarah. I love her. We like keep in touch by LinkedIn and talk
Okay.
every like 8 years.
Okay.
But Sarah stepped in as the leader and somebody stepped in as secondary leader. And it was so funny because as we kind of progressed and went through the project, people stopped showing up. I'm like, this is half of your grade. Where are you?
Oh,
People
wow.
stopped showing up, but I
Uh-huh.
always showed up and I was always doing like on the side correspondence with Sarah because I'm like, okay, you're leading, like how
Let
you're doing,
me.
like what's going on, like,
Right.
and she realized, oh, two minds alike, like we can get this done.
Right.
And the funny thing is the secondary leader dropped and was like, I just have too many commitments. Like, I need somebody else. And so,
You
guess who
became,
nominated
of
me?
course, of
Secondary
course,
leader.
of
And
course.
so, but I love that because it allowed people to see what their capacity was in the realm of leadership.
Okay.
There were some people who were strong in one area that weren't strong in other areas. So we did, while Sarah was leading, and you had somebody who wanted to try out seeing if how they could lead
Mhm.
in that season. They realized, oh, I don't have capacity for this, but that doesn't make me not a leader. It's just not right now. And so
Right.
that they moved down so that Sarah was able to call me up into that position. But then
Right.
you also had somebody else who, while they were not so in tune with what we were doing,
Mhm.
they would be like, if you need supplies, I got the supplies. They were always bringing stuff
Right.
and recommending restaurants and all that stuff for us to meet at. So they were leading in that capacity. I find that when you are not a leader, you are a leader that allows engagement and allows other people to find their strengths and find their value in a certain circumstance or situation.
Yeah.
That's how you unbind leadership.
Yeah.
By creating and allowing opportunities for others to lead without you having to have the final say all the time.
Yeah, no, 100%. Everybody is in their own season, right?
Mhm.
So, just like you said, somebody was really good at providing the things that you needed. That's the season
Mhm.
that they were in. They weren't ready to progress to telling other people what they need to do, but they were leading in their own capacity.
Yeah.
And there are seasons for these things. And I think
Yeah.
when you become a real servant leader, you're able to see what season other people are in
Yes.
and
That's
lead in
good.
that way,
Yeah.
not forcing people to do something they're not ready to do, being able to back up and support those people who are ready to take that next step. And you
Mhm.
can't do that if you're always the person in front. It's not a thing you have the capability of looking
Absolutely.
at. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I feel like, so if you look at like the story of Joseph, when
Mhm.
the Pharaoh made Joseph like prime minister of
Right.
Egypt,
Right.
Joseph, with all the things that God called him to do, didn't need to be at the top to do the work that God called him to do, yet he was still a leader.
Right.
He still was the one that organized and dictated how they gave all the grain back during the famine.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you have to be willing to accept the capacity that you lead in. A
Mhm.
lot of people want to be numero uno when you can actually be more effective as numero dos.
I like being number two, to be honest.
It's not a bad place to be.
It's not. It's not.
I'm like, the heat is off you. It's still on
Facts.
Pharaoh. At the end of the day, if the
Yeah.
project doesn't work, he puts you in that seat.
I didn't ask for this.
Exactly. You made the executive decision. And so It's just kind of how, like, if you look at a corporate office, and you have the CEO, but then you have your directors, you have your VPs, your senior VPs, all that kind of stuff. Every single one of them has the capacity to grow, but they
Hmm.
have the capacity to hold the space for where they are.
Correct.
And they have the skills to be where they are. Once an EVP goes up to an SVP, the whole role has to change, and you don't have the access or the time to
Hmm.
what you had before.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times we struggle in leadership positions is because we don't want to let go of the authority that we have in that moment.
That is part of it. Yes,
Mhm.
I agree. People don't want to let go.
Hit me with the other side.
I think the other side is the fear that if you do let go, the whole thing unravels.
Yeah. Yeah. But you're not
Yeah,
a very good leader if everything unravels, if we're being real about it.
100%. But that
Yeah.
doesn't mean there isn't a fear there.
Yeah.
And that's as you were talking, it got me to thinking. There's a reason why I specifically work with newly hired managers and middle managers
Mhm.
for that very reason. When you're promoted into a role, people don't always, the person who's promoting you doesn't always work with you to show you how to interact in that role, how to show up, how to delegate those things you used to
Yeah.
do. That it's not always a very clear cut progression. And to your point, people who say, okay, well, I was I'm moving into my new role. I have to go focus on this. They're
Mhm.
forgetting as a leader, somebody brought you along. Somebody taught you how to lead in that capacity. Somebody showed you how to move other things off your plate so you're not
Mhm.
overwhelmed, so you don't burn out. As a leader, I think you have got to be able to take those moments to look at who's coming into the space, who's moving into what you used to do, while also figuring out what's working for you and what do you need. And that's really going back to what we've been discussing. That is what
Mhm.
servant leadership is also. Hey, I'm doing this for you guys. I won't always be here. Do as I do, but let me show you
Yeah.
what I want you to do.
Yeah. One of the things, especially in the corporate world, that I realized as a leader and looking at other leaders was how well does your team function when you're not around?
Facts. Facts.
Like, I look at like Moses and how like he had Aaron, and he was like, "Hey, speak for me in this matter." But then also there was Joshua who came in after. And one of the postures as a leader that you have to have is open palms at all times to
Mm,
allow God to take from you what doesn't belong to you in the next season.
mm,
And it's so funny to me because like think about it, if like when Moses struck the rock and disobeyed God, and God was like, you're not going to see the promise, you're not going to go into the promised land, but like you can see it from the mountain. That's about it. Moses could have been like, I did all this work for nothing.
right. Right.
Like
And
you're going to give
most
this
of
to
us
Joshua?
would. Most of us would have done that. Like, are you serious?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
I'm like, when you keep your palms in a posture of being open to where God is taking you, but also where he's taking the next person that's under you,
Yeah.
it takes the pressure off. I feel like as a leader, you don't realize how much when we hold on to things, we create unnecessary pressure,
Pressure.
because as God moves and shifts, and there's ebbs and flows in the things that he calls you to in the seasons that you're in and the transitions you're going to go through. If you
Yeah.
have an open palm kind of posture, he can take, he can give, he can
Yeah.
take, he can
Yeah.
give, and it won't phase you as much. But if you're holding on too tightly,
Yep.
it's just like you're trying to receive, 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 but you're trying to receive with closed fists.
Yeah. There's a verse, and I was thinking about this earlier. It's Philippians, I wrote it down, 4:11, 12, and
Mm,
13. And it
let's
is,
go.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I wanted to make sure.
Why
So
did I just open right up to Philippians
it's
4? That's
crazy,
not
right?
fair.
It's
That's not
alignment.
fair.
It's alignment. It's alignment. All right. So the part that everybody always remembers is I can do all things through Christ with strength, which
Yeah.
strengthens me, right? Everybody always remembers that. But if you go back to 11, it says, not that I speak in regard to need, for I have learned in whatever state I am to be content. I
Mm,
know how to be abased, and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things, I have learned both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. It's those
That's good.
things, yeah, right? Right. It's good. It hit me earlier today. I was like, oh my goodness, that's perfect. People will always remember the verse, I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me.
Hmm.
But then when troubles come, right? When you're on the mountain and he's telling you you're not going into the promised land, hey, I know what it's like to be hungry. I know what it's like to be have everything I need. I know what it's like to be, on the doorsteps of death. Through all of those things, God is with me. And
Amen.
again, it applies to leadership as well. You're not always going to be on top. You're not
Oh
always
yeah.
going to be the main person, right? So I love that. When I read that, I was like, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah. No, that's so good. Adjust to your circumstances.
Yeah,
And that is home
you're welcome.
because
I'm here to
no, really, thank you.
Mhm.
No,
Uh-huh.
no, that really hits home because like I feel like in my life I have not been able to transition to new seasons because I didn't like the circumstances in which the new season started. It's like I don't like how things ended, so I
Mhm.
don't walk into the next season the way I should. And that
Yeah.
hinders my performance in the new season. It
Yes, it
causes
does.
delay, it causes drought,
Delay.
it causes all kinds of things.
Delay. Yeah.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so I'm like that really resonates because I can look back through my life and even when I worked at in a corporate role,
Mhm.
I would be so arrogant and snooty and pouty when I'm like, I want to move. I asked for this.
Mhm.
But because of the circumstances that I find unfavorable, I'm going to be
Right.
a brat in this
Mhm.
moment.
Mhm.
And sometimes in those seasons God will close that door and be like, "Oh, okay, this is how
Oh,
you
you didn't want
react.
it? Okay.
Let's wait a little while. Now you got to wait a year. Oh, and you need to go to another company before I open the door again."
Right.
And so yeah, that hit me. That hit me
Yeah.
hard.
That was not my intent, I promise you.
No, but that's so good because that's like the conviction and correction, like that
Mm,
piece in all of this. It's looking at your role and why things happen. There's not enough accountability
yeah,
for people that want to be leaders. That is a huge catalyst for how you lead, where you lead, why you lead, and when you lead.
correct.
And even when you're not leading and when you're coming out of those seasons, a lot of times God will pull you out of a season. He'll pull you back to catapult you forward. He'll
Correct.
put you under a really great leader, but now you're mad because you got a demotion or you didn't get the job that you wanted. But
Right.
this is actually the person that's going to mentor you or be an example to you and teach you so that you understand how to
Yeah.
lead in this capacity because where God is taking you is even beyond them.
It
But you just
happened to
can't
me.
see it yet.
Yeah, it happened to me. It definitely happened to me.
Well, I
I
love a good story. Let's hear it.
so when my job, essentially, I was a senior operations manager, and when I lost that job, far be it for me to think I would just, at some point go right back into the space that I was in, and I'd be fine. I was I was made to drop a level,
Mhm.
right? In my new job. I dropped a level to an operations manager with a ton less money, with just as much responsibility, and I had to understand, like, hey, this is where you're at now. What are you taking from this, in this moment, that's going to propel you forward? Just like you said, that's going to propel you
Mhm.
forward. So it took a lot of me not being so headstrong. It took a lot of me, just listening in meetings. It took a lot of me understanding that I wasn't going to be invited in the rooms that I was invited to previously, which,
Yeah.
uh, it's tough when you're not the person who gets to make the decisions for the team that you have. It's, oh my
Yeah.
God, it's so tough.
Yeah.
But I learned that for however long it took, 6, 9 months or whatever, it helped me, and God was showing me a lot about myself at that time, but it helped me understand that sometimes you do have to step back and
Mhm.
and regulate and figure out what's working and what's not working, and am I showing up in the right way before you get that promotion again. And now you're really back in that space, and
Oh,
how are
yeah.
you going to do it differently, and how are you going to move the people, all of those things.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah,
went from a role that I was managing people to a role where I was managing processes at another company.
that's tough.
And I was working in a department that I actually created at another company. And I'm sitting here like, I feel like I should be elevating in this moment because I created a team like this. And now you have me working in a team
Yeah,
like this. I managed a team like this, but now I'm just in a team like this.
correct.
And this goes back to the humbling part because I kept looking at the manager like, you should be doing this. You should be doing this. You should be doing this.
Hmm.
Sweetie, you're in a completely different industry. You're in another company. You have a huge knowledge gap.
Right.
This goes with the mindset of when God blesses people with a job and they come in and they were like, you hired me. I am here to save you. I am here to change everything. You need me.
I've been that guy. I have been that guy.
A lot of us have been that guy
How
or
did you
that
make it
woman.
without me for these 50 years? I have
I
no
know.
idea.
This is a mess. Your processes are a mess. Like, you need me to clean this up. Let me tell you how you can do this better.
Yes. Give me six
Only
months.
exactly. Only to step into that role and be like, no wonder.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
God. No, this is actually more complex than I
Yeah.
ever could have thought. I'm not
Yeah.
even sure I'm the right person for this
I don't
job.
understand any of this.
Exactly. Nobody understands it. I'm in good company.
You know,
And it's just like, it's a very humbling thing.
it
But the
is.
funny thing is, like, going from managing and being the person who's in the rooms with executives and decision makers, being able to walk into the head of North America's office and voice my opinion, and he
Hmm.
actually listens to the point where I'm like, who is the CEO? I don't even know your name at another company. That
Yeah.
is humbling.
Yeah.
And then being like, God was like, oh, you climbed the ladder in this season. You're not going to climb in this season. I
Yeah.
walked into that role saying, oh, I'm going to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. Creating a ladder and a plan and a trajectory and a timeline for myself. And God was like, nah, I'm not even keeping you here long enough
That's
to
not
do
what you're here
anything. That's
for.
not exactly. That's not what you're here for. And so being open to God doing something different in another season to where now I'm building my own company.
Right.
And the knowledge that I picked up in that season, be it no matter how short it was,
Hmm.
is so vital to everything that I do now.
Yeah.
I have so much gratitude from God because I'm not walking blind. It was so funny because I worked for a SaaS company. Uh, yeah, it's
Mhm.
ERP company.
Yeah.
And I was having a conversation with a SaaS company and I'm asking, it was so funny because I kind of threw the guy off. He was
Uh,
like, how does she know to ask these questions? It was because the role that I was in managed these kinds of situations. I was on
mhm.
the other side. I was you.
Right.
And so I know the ins and outs. You're not going to trick me.
Right.
And so I kept calling the bluffs. I kept calling the bluffs. And I was like, Lord, you bless me. Because had I not stepped into that role and sat there for as long as I did and became a sponge,
Mhm.
I wouldn't have been able to handle myself in the position that I'm in now as a CEO, talking to somebody in this industry that I now have a better understanding of. I didn't have to leave an expert, but I left with new tools and resources at my disposal
Yeah.
that I'm now able to carry. And it's just so funny how our perspectives until we get to that shift, until
Mhm.
we get to that place where we're like, oh, that's what you're doing.
That's what it was.
Then we appreciate it.
And that makes me think a lot of time, especially for like entrepreneurs, right?
Mhm.
Especially early entrepreneurs, we think failure means that's not what we were supposed to be doing, or
Yeah.
we have to do a total 180 and focus on something else. I think over the last, couple of years, there were multiple avenues that I thought I was going to do:
Mhm.
franchising, interview prep, this leadership thing that I do now. But what I learned was from everything, I took something from all of those things, and God has a crazy way of doing this. Somehow in the future, after I've learned it, it plays itself back. Somebody needs something that relates to what I learned in that space. Somebody's
Yeah.
asking me questions about something that, maybe I didn't go through it completely, but I took enough time to understand it. And now I can help somebody else through it. It's wild how we think failures are just that, but they're not. I feel like it's
Yeah.
got God moving you up those steps. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. God is a God of wisdom. And when you were talking, I was thinking about Solomon and how
Hmm.
Solomon asked God for wisdom. And it took him into a season where all these people were coming to hear and to listen and to glean from all the wisdom God had given him. There's
Mhm.
never been anybody with that level of wisdom. And you see, like the Queen of Sheba. Was it Sheba? It was the
Yeah,
queen.
I
There's
think so.
somewhere.
Yeah.
She came to sit and brought all these gifts and was asking questions and things like that. And I feel like a lot of us take Solomon so literally because God just gave him the wisdom. But
Right.
the thing about it is, it's the process in which God imparts wisdom on us by taking us through different trials and situations. And so,
Right.
what we deem as a failure is actually a trial that's going to help somebody else who's going through it, but also help us and
Mhm.
reframe our mindset and how we do things going forward in the future. Everything
Absolutely.
works out for your good.
Absolutely. That's it. That's the verse. And
Yep.
I you just convicted me. You're right. That is the verse.
Backseas, that's what you're
Everything.
getting it.
God uses everything to work out for your good. So yeah.
Yes,
But it's let's just be honest. In the moment, right? It's very difficult to think
it is.
this is for my good, or I'm going through all these things and there's going to be a reason or a bright side at the end. So if I'm honest, I feel a lot like my role is to help people through those moments
Yeah.
of this isn't going to work out, or I'm
Hmm.
doing the wrong thing, or this can't be all life has for me. Like that, I feel, and I'm hoping God hears me, that is why I'm here, is to help people see that, hey, your failures are not failures. Like
Hmm.
there is something after this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you the retreat I was talking about earlier. Like I called the retreat off in January, and actually April 23rd. Yeah, I think that was when we I
Yeah.
think that was when we were supposed to have it. And it was so funny because I was embarrassed for a minute. Like I had to call everybody that was
Yeah.
involved and say, "Hey,
It's not happening.
God did give me a vision for this retreat. I just realized that in the moment of me doing the things that God opened the doors, like he brought me the people, he brought me the resources, but at the end of the day, he was like, I didn't tell you that was when you were supposed to do it."
Mhm.
And I got ahead of God. And I'm like, it's that conviction. And now I have to correct. And
Yeah.
so I'm going to everybody and I'm like, look, I appreciate you standing by me and really getting involved in the time and attention that you put towards this event. But we're not going to do it. I'm going to cancel it. And we're going to wait until next year. And I'm going to go to God and see when he actually wants me to do it. And I believe he wants me to do it next year, but I'm going to keep praying about it just to make sure.
That's probably helpful.
And that humility,
Mm.
that I'm not gonna lie, that was hard because I
Yeah.
had a lot of people to call, and I'm like, a text message would be easier, or just sending a mass email, and then just like putting it in like junk or spam or a folder so that I never have to
So you
I
don't
don't
have
have
to
to see their
answer
responses.
anything?
I don't have to
Yeah.
deal with it.
Yeah.
But no, I God was like, call. You need to call every single person, and you need to get used to this because as a leader, you're allowed to make mistakes. What
Yeah.
makes a good leader is being able to own your mistakes,
Yeah.
learn from them, and
Yeah.
help others see
Yeah.
that this is what leadership looks like.
Yeah.
It's the accountability piece. It's
And
the
it's big.
humility piece.
It's big.
I'm not always going to get it right. But that doesn't mean I stop leading. That doesn't mean I get to hide. That doesn't mean I get to go be embarrassed in the shadows by myself or step out of the role.
Yeah.
I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of people are like, oh, if you say I can't do this or I did this thing
I'm
wrong,
out.
well, I messed up too big. I might as well leave section. I'm going to exit stage left. And it's like, no, I'm calling you to correction, to humility,
Mhm.
and to obedience. And it honors God when we face the things that we're afraid of, the shame, the embarrassment that comes with saying, I made a
I
mistake.
messed up. Yeah.
I didn't quite waste your time, even though it may feel like I wasted your time, because we did learn from it and we got a lot of things done that we can rinse, wash, repeat.
Right.
But in this season, we're not going to do this. And
Yeah.
so I feel like that was a big growth moment for me, for sure. And the fact that I'm talking about it now.
You strike me as somebody who likes things being perfect and not.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
Yes. I
I
feel like you know me.
I don't know. I
I
just
feel seen.
something about you just But yeah, you're 100% correct. You've got to take those moments and you've got to learn. You've got to learn from them and not hide in the closet and turn off the lights and just wait for things to go away because they don't.
Yeah. I feel like that's what the enemy wants us to do. He wants to, and that that
Absolutely.
that voice that's in your ear, like you can't come back from this. This is too
Yep.
big. Like the
Yep.
mistake was too. He just magnifies it,
That's
and
me.
I,
That's me
the
all
best
day.
thing, yeah, the best thing that you can do to combat the enemy is to reinforce what God says
Yeah.
and to speak. Well, you know what? God is not a man that he should lie. God
Yep.
said, like his word does not return void.
Right.
God is a promise keeper. Like he said for me to do this. I
Mm-hmm.
got the message. I heard it. The
Mm-hmm.
timeline was wrong. It's okay.
Yeah. For me, I lean heavily, I had previously into guilt and shame. So
Hmm.
like what you're saying is 100% like I if I mess up, when I mess up, if it's big, I lean heavily, and this could be childhood trauma, whatever.
Hmm.
I lean into guilt and shame, and it just repeats and it circulates and it builds upon itself to the point where I don't want to go have conversations with people I need to have conversations with.
Yep.
I don't want to tell people what just happened because then I'm just going to continue to feel this way. And so it's really important, like just what you were saying. God knew you were going to mess up.
Yeah.
He wasn't he there's nowhere in the Bible that says you are going to be perfect, and
Come
haven't read
on.
it yet. I haven't read it yet. I mean, when I
It's not
do,
there. You won't.
okay, all right, thanks. I thought maybe I
let
was
me let
missing
me
it.
just cut to commercial. You will not. No,
Right.
and there's a verse that I talk about on here all the time that perfectly depicts this. It's
Okay.
Luke 22. We're gonna start at 31, but it's 31 and 32. I feel like
Okay.
every other episode, if you've been here quite a bit, I read this all the time. It's
Okay.
Simon, Simon, look out. Satan has asked to sift you like wheat, but I have prayed for you that your faith may not fail, and you, when you turn back, strengthen your brothers. He's telling him, I know you're gonna mess up.
Right. It's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
I know it's coming, and I'm telling you that it's coming.
That's
Believe
good.
me, it's coming. Because I know, like with Peter, Lord, I love you. I would never. Lord, tell me who it is. Who's gonna betray you? It's not gonna be me. In your own way, yeah, it is, buddy. And
Yeah.
so, but it's that's the goodness of God in knowing how flawed we are and that we're gonna make the mistakes. He's already preparing us for when we come back.
Right.
Come back from your mistake
Yeah.
and then impact your brothers and sisters so they don't have
Right.
to make the same mistake.
Which is saying you cannot be quiet. You
Exactly.
can't lean into guilt and shame because you've got to go share this with people. It's almost
Come on.
like I'm telling you that you're going to have to share this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel like the more we hide, the more we derail God's plans. Or not
Delay.
derail. I was a delay. That's my word. Thank you.
Yeah.
The more we delay God's plans. And I mean, like, how many disciples, like Thomas doubted,
Hmm.
Peter denied, you
Hmm.
got Judas over here that just sent him to the
Waiting.
cross
Yeah.
and betrayed him. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, even, this is, this is one of my favorite, it's not my favorite part, but it's one of my favorite parts is when they come to get Jesus.
Mhm.
And Peter slices his ear off, being
Yeah.
like, I'm going to go straight Pirates of the Caribbean
Yeah.
on
He's
you.
ready to go to work.
I know. And then instead of even getting mad at Peter,
Mm.
God just puts the guy's ear back on. Is like, you need to calm down. They're trying to kill me. I know it's coming.
Yeah.
But even in that moment, I'm going to have so much compassion for you because I know that you are the rock. You're the rock of the church. You're part of the foundation for my church. You're
Mhm.
still a leader.
Yeah.
I'm going to have compassion for you in your anguish in this moment, for the trial that you're going through, for the discomfort you feel, for the fear that you feel. And
Right.
I'm going to help you through this situation. So
Right.
they're not going to punish you because I'm going to fix this at this moment,
Right.
but just calm down.
Right. Even though I'm the one that's about to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
But I feel like
That's
Peter's
really
like,
good.
Lord, I will die for you. I will do anything for you. And he actually said that. Like,
Yeah.
who is it? Oh, who when he was like, somebody's gonna betray me, and Peter's like, well, let's string him up.
Yeah, where's
Like,
he at?
where's he at?
I'm ready to go get him.
I feel like Peter's like, thug life, where are we
Yeah,
going?
and then when it comes down to it,
Exactly. And then he became the one that denied. And it's so crazy how God knows our hearts better than we know our own hearts. And he is
yes,
prepared for every mistake and every backslide and everything that we're going to do, but he still calls us forward in those moments. And so
yeah,
I feel like God obviously is the ultimate leader, and Christ is the ultimate leader that we are to emulate and follow. And if
yeah,
you want to be leaders, no matter what capacity it's in, you have to have a leader that you can follow. You
yeah,
have to be submitted to God, or it's not going to work.
yeah.
I, I kid you not. You think about David as a shepherd and how he had to stay with his flock. He went back
Mm,
to his flock even after being anointed. And
yeah,
it's because they still needed him, even though God had called him up. He
yeah.
couldn't just walk away.
Right,
There's so
right.
much responsibility in knowing where God is taking you, but still stewarding the place that he has you.
Exactly. And I'm living that right now. I know God is calling me to expand
Hmm.
and to share, but I'm also in a place where, I have people I'm responsible for. I have a team that needs my support. So
Hmm.
you're spot on when you say, like, even if you're being prepared for something much greater, there is a level of humility. There's a level of, I can't just let go of what I'm doing right now because this is
Yeah.
also important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
David had to kill a bear and a lion before he could kill Goliath.
Yeah. You got to work your way up.
Exactly. There's a process to this thing. And yeah, we have to learn how to become comfortable in the discomfort of the process. I talk about the messy middle, and I love this because this is like a theme that is
Yeah,
like ongoing, and I didn't
that's
realize that
real.
was going to happen. There is a messy middle to everything that God calls you to. He does not just elevate you to a point and say, you got this, go.
Yeah.
He's gonna prepare you, and those steps are like trials, it's discomfort, it's discord. It's all the things that prepare you for the place that you need to go, so that when you go, things don't shake you,
Yeah.
because there are going to be moments where you don't call on God first.
Yeah.
I've gone through this very, very, very recently, as like yesterday, where I'm like, oh, let me just make a decision and
Hmm.
not check with God, and
Hmm.
then I'm like, oh, this is bad. I shouldn't have done that. So it's always a progression where you're learning and you're learning and you're going through different processes.
Hmm.
So embrace where he has you and take
Yeah.
it for all that it's worth.
Yeah. I look at it like you ever see those movies or those, I don't know, where there's like a staircase and it goes around and it goes up, but then the staircase goes back down and then it goes, left and
Oh
right,
yeah, I've
and
seen those in movies.
all for you to get out somewhere on
Hmm.
top. It's so much like that. Like
Yeah.
you think it's going to be, all right, God's got me. I gave my life to God last month. I'm going straight to the top. And it's
Hmm.
not that. You're gonna have moments where you're gonna be in the valley for a year.
Come on.
Trust me, there's moments when you're gonna excel just to step back a little bit. There's moments where you're gonna propel forward.
Hmm.
And I think through all of it, you have to understand that you've got to be willing to let God move through you. You've got to be open to listening and trying to understand, even though you're going to fail, and even
Hmm.
though there's times when you're supposed to trust God and you don't. Just being able to have that openness and listening and reading and trying to understand, searching your heart to try to understand what God is calling for you in that moment or in that span of time, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because the minute you were like mountain and valley, I was like, I was already having a visual of a mountain and a valley.
Yeah,
And the thing that the Holy Spirit was showing me was like, we look at a mountain and it just looks like a mountain. But then there are like small little mountains within the mountain. There's valleys
facts.
within the mountains. There's craters within the mountains. You have a winding road on that mountain.
Yep.
Nothing is just a straight to be.
Great. Yep. There is no such thing.
Like, that's the biggest lie you can tell yourself, is that I'm going straight to the top.
Yep.
No, because you're going to have the delays. You're
Yep.
going to have the discord, the discomfort. You're going to have all these different things on your way up. And these are the winding roads that get you where you need to go. But these are also the things that are going to build your character so that you can be an effective leader.
And in my case, you might fall completely off the mountain and then have to start back at the bottom.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
is
I
what it
spent
is.
years climbing a ladder only to fall
Yeah.
because of a decision I made
Yeah. Same.
out of fear for somebody who would become my manager. And I was like, I don't want to deal with you. I'm going to go work in another department. And legal contracts and Courtney do not work. I ended up actually getting let go
Yeah.
from the company.
Yeah.
And it was just like a blessing within itself. God had a job lined up three days later. I
Wow.
got an acceptance letter to another job.
Wow. I need, can I get some residual from you? Can I just be in your presence so I can get
I'll
some of
send the
that?
prayers your way. But like there was a blessing in it because it catapulted me into like kind of my final role in my corporate career in that season. But
Mhm.
it hurt.
Yeah.
It hurt. I literally had 2 weeks. I had 2 weeks where it was like I gotten the offer to when I started. And there were days where I could not get out of the bed. You would think that I would be ecstatic for what
Yeah.
God just blessed me with. I was
Right.
so scared that they were going to rescind their offer within those 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
I didn't take it for what it was. I didn't take it as rest.
Yeah.
I didn't take it as regrouping and going back to God. I'm sitting
Mhm.
here reading the Psalms like, Lord, I'm in despair. Give me a verse.
So you became a total drama queen. Is that what happened?
Oh,
Yeah.
full drama queen.
Yeah, I got it.
Full drama queen. It was my birthday week. I love my birthday. This is the day that the Lord made Courtney. Like,
Hmm.
we gonna rejoice. And
Okay.
so and so I'm like, I normally I could have enjoyed it. I had the time span to enjoy it. I
Mhm.
never ran out of money. Like I got my final paycheck going into the next job. Like there was no lack
There
in that
was
moment. There
right,
was nothing to lack. Yet
right.
I was just so down and depressed and moping around the house. Like, and I feel like it came from the fear of like another job that I wanted, but they
Mm.
gave me a 10-week delay. They told me I got the job, rescinded it, and said,
Yeah.
oh, we changed our process, which took 10 weeks then, and then offered me the job. But I ended up taking the job that gave me like in 3 days. I'm like, I like the process. Like, y'all
Right,
took too
right.
long. And
Yeah.
so, but it also shows how God presented multiple opportunities.
Yeah.
Like, I could have had growth over there, but
Mhm.
this made more sense for where he was taking me. And it was a challenge, which
Yeah.
told me God is going to grow me over here.
Yeah.
I can step into another company like the one I just left. But do I want to do that or do I want to stretch?
Yeah.
And stretching is a huge part of growth
It
for
is.
who God is calling you to be. If you
It is.
keep taking the easy route, the route that is familiar, the route that is comfortable, you will not be stretched to the point where you will grow to take on something that is far greater in capacity in the future.
Correct. Nothing grows unless it's disturbed.
Yeah.
Nothing grows if there's something is not attacking it or causing strain to it. Nothing grows if
Yeah.
it
You got
doesn't
to
do
till
that.
the soil.
Yeah, you have yeah, you gotta do something. But what you were saying reminded me of the one thing that I have to remember and I fight with is the old folks call it the attitude of gratitude.
Oh, yeah.
I struggle with that so much. You pray for these things and then God gives it to you, and then you're on to the next thing that you want. You're on to
Mhm.
the other thing that you he hasn't given you yet. And in the meantime, didn't you just get a promotion?
That part.
Didn't God just help you with your light bill because
Mhm.
you had no idea where that money was coming from? So I have found it's important, at least for me, I have to take time to stop and reflect on everything God has done for me. The terrible seasons, the great seasons, the times when I was sitting here crying my eyes out, the times when just celebrating life and my daughters. You have got to have an attitude of gratitude, and I think
Yeah.
that for me is also a baseline for a good leader.
Yeah.
You got to be grateful.
Yeah. I feel like they always say when you're having a hard time praying, start telling God everything that you're thankful for, and it softens your
Absolutely.
heart to be able to go to
So
Him and ask. But also, I have like a little collage on my computer screen, and one of the squares in my collage actually says, when you after you get the thing that you prayed for,
mm,
ask God for the ability to maintain. and keep it. So you're supposed to continue that posture of prayer and
Correct.
gratitude for what he gave you. Because the thing about it is, we still need God to move through that thing because he's taken you to a new level that you've never been to. He's put you in
Correct.
a new position that you've never been in. And
Right.
so it's not by your own strength
Correct.
at
And
all. And so if you remove God from that equation, you're going to start working in your own strength and you are guaranteed to go
every
through
time,
perils
every
every
time.
single time.
Yeah, I can't. There's if God is not in it,
Oh
I
boy.
am mush. I'm worthless. I'm just I've tried it so many times on my own that I just know I will always make the wrong decision. Always.
Yeah. Yeah. God does things that are impossible that I'm like, I pray to God all the time and I'm like, Lord, I don't know how I got here. I don't know how to do anything. I don't know. Like, I'm literally a duck out of water. If I'm by myself, like, I'm a duck out of water. I'm like, Lord, I don't know how I got here.
Mm.
But, they always say, if God brought you to it, he'll bring you through it.
Yeah,
Like,
bring it.
God will
Yeah,
create. Yeah.
yeah,
And then there's another one. Um, he doesn't call the equip, he equips those that he calls. And I'm like, even though there's truth to those things, there is a posture of prayer that you have to stay in to
yeah,
maintain what he
yeah,
has called you to.
yep.
And this is the thing, faith. You believed God in faith that he
Right.
would take you to that place, that the vision would be realized.
Hmm.
Now you need to go beyond just
Right.
faith into the works. Faith without works is dead.
Is
You
dead.
have to continue to work. Work is not just doing things.
Right.
Work is going to God on your knees and being like, help.
What next? I'm
Exactly.
here. Now what?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That is
there's
it.
a there's a verse in this season, it's Jeremiah 33:3,
Mhm.
that I kept seeing everywhere. And I was like, okay, clearly God in this season, you're telling me
Okay.
something. So like Jeremiah 33:3 says, call to me and I will answer you and tell you a great and incomprehensible things you do not know. I don't know anything.
Nada,
So
nan,
he
nada. I don't
tells
know
you
nothing.
literally, call to me and ask
Mhm.
me the question. Lord,
Mhm.
what are we doing today? Lord, how do I do this? Lord, how do I deal with this person? It's
Mhm.
so funny how we try to deal with people. We were talking about like difficult people earlier and how we
Mhm.
try to deal with them in our own strength and capacity and fortitude within ourselves. And
Mhm.
it's just like we end up making the situation worse or walking away frustrated. And it's just like if you said, Lord, how do I deal with this person? Or Lord,
Yeah.
no, better yet, can you deal with this person? I give them to
Mm.
you. Have your way, Lord.
Yeah. I was always really good, I guess if you want to say good, at compartmentalizing God.
Mm,
Giving him this, but not this.
hmm.
Giving him most of these things, but you can't touch this right here. This is mine.
Yeah.
I'm going to focus on this and I'm going to figure this one out. And what you just said makes so much sense. Like if you're not giving him everything, if you're not moving into that season and saying, all right, now you have this too. What do we do? How do I move? What's next? What do I learn from this? If you're not doing those things, it's just you're not having that heart posture that says,
Yeah.
"Hey, I didn't get here by myself,
Yeah.
and I don't know how to get past this by myself."
Exactly. And I'm having this revelation right now, and it says God is only as big as your belief in him.
Hmm.
Like, as much as we compartmentalize who God is,
Hmm.
we limit how much we're allowing to allow God to do in our lives. By shrinking him, you're
Yeah,
saying, "Oh God, you can only do small things."
yeah,
I love when Southern people say it because it hits better with a
yeah.
Southern twang, but it's
Okay.
like don't tell God how big your problem is, but tell your problem how big your God is.
Right. Yeah.
And that's something that I used to hear all the time from like church mothers when I was growing up and
Uh-huh.
things like that. But that's absolutely true. We allow our problems to be so enormous in our minds that we allow them to swallow up God. You
Right.
can't possibly be bigger than my problem because
Right.
I can't handle it. So how could you?
Nobody's ever been through what I'm going through right now. How could you possibly?
That
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
That part.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're talking to me.
Talking to myself too.
No, no, and I love that, but that comes with the realization, like, you really need God. I think that we hear it, but we don't apply it.
Yeah.
Like God is like the air. He is the air that we breathe.
Yeah.
We breathe. You take your next breath. I do this all the time in prayer. I'm like, God, thank you for that. Because I wouldn't have been able to take the next breath had you not said breathe.
Yeah. I'm big on meditation,
Mm-hmm.
and what I've come to experience is God is breath.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about the breath is God. You stop breathing, where are you going?
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
if you hold your breath, what are you experiencing? If you're breathing really fast and you're out of breath and you're winded, you start to go through all these emotions, right? God is in breath. God is breath.
Yeah.
It's wild to say.
It it was so funny because there's this video that I saw online not too long ago,
Hmm.
and this little girl has to be like 5 or 6, and her dad, her uncle, her grandfather, and her I think he was her other uncle or her dad's best friend,
Yeah.
but it's like an after dinner competition, and they allowed her to like put them in a headlock.
What?
And it was a competition they were having to see who could last the longest. So this little girl had a death grip. Like she
Okay.
knew what she was doing. They taught her well.
Uh-huh.
And she goes around and she's at her dad. She gives her dad the worst because it's her dad. Puts him in a
This is how
headlock.
girls do their dad, by the way.
Exactly. Yep. And puts her dad in the headlock. And her dad almost didn't have the ability to tap out because he started to pass out. And this is what I feel like we do with God. I really feel like we do this with God sometimes. Because it's like, God, give me your best. Let me see what you
Yeah.
got. Let me
No,
see
no,
what
I
you
got
got.
it. I
God puts
got
you
it.
in that headlock and you're like, oh no, it's getting dark in here. Like, I think I went too far.
Hmm.
But I feel like we're playing with God all the time, not thinking that he has the strength that he has and the might that he has and the
Right.
control that he has
Right.
to give us our next breath or take it away. I feel like when people do stuff like that, I can just see God looking down at that table like,
What's wrong with y'all?
let me close his eyes for a second. I'm going to scare the mess out this man. But
Yeah.
I'm like, sometimes it's that shock to the senses because her dad came back wide eyed, like, oh my God, like,
My baby
okay, that
almost
almost
passed
took
me
me
out.
out.
Yeah.
But then it's so crazy how the uncle and the grandfather and his brother were like around the table and they still did it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this little girl came to play no games. She's here to take you out. But yet you still want to play.
You still want to
And
play?
God's
That's
like,
life.
when we do that to God's like, okay, you didn't learn the lesson from them. All
That's
right,
life.
come on, I got you.
That is so life right there. So life.
Yeah, but I feel like, when we see things like that, that
Hmm.
told me a story.
Yeah.
Quit playing with God.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not gonna. I don't want to have my last breath in that way. I don't want to like start phasing out because I'm playing games with you. So
Right.
let me come correct.
Yeah.
But this goes back to what we were talking about discipleship and sharing your story and how your life and how you live your life ministers to other people without you even trying to communicate to other people how
Correct.
they see how Christ moves in you.
Yeah.
And if you're a leader by trade, by name,
Hmm.
or you're just somebody that's living, because there's so many leaders that don't call themselves leaders
Right.
that are just
That
out here
just
living
day
and
to day.
leading
Yeah.
and don't even realize it or won't accept that they have that gift.
Yep. Yeah, I that is so true. I used to think that somebody telling their story or all the things that they have been through is to keep people from going through the same things.
Hmm.
You hear that a lot, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's the real point. I think everybody's going to go through something.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's to keep people from going through things. I think it's to show people that even though you're going to go through something, there is something on the other side, or there is a
Yeah.
way to go through it.
It's that navigation.
It's the navigation through it, because I could tell you my story all day. Does it mean you're not going to do the things that that you're going to do? Does that mean
Exactly.
that you're still not going to live your life? But what I want you to remember is, shoot, Andre did these things. Wait, did he survived it? What?
Yeah.
How did he survive it? Who did he survive it with?
Yeah.
Those type of things. And I think that's the crucial part of leadership, is understanding that people are still going to be people. They're still going to go through the things they have to go through. But your job is to show them how to ease that transition or how to
Yeah.
show up in those spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's somebody who's watching this, and the thing about it is it may not apply to you right now,
Right.
but with the Holy Spirit, we have that gift of Holy Spirit recall. So you might
Hmm.
get that instant recall at a moment later in life when
Hmm.
you were going through this very thing, or
Yes.
where something applies and the Holy Spirit was like, I need you to roll the
Roll
tape
that tape
back.
back.
Roll the tape back and remember,
Yeah.
this is how you navigate this trial. This is how this person moved through this trial. This is the lesson that you're learning. This is why you're going through the hardship, through the process, why the middle feels messy, why everything feels chaotic like a dumpster fire.
Yep.
It's not to stop you, it's to help propel you forward, but you have to get there, which means you have to continue. You have to read your Bible. You have to trust God. You have to have wise counsel. And that's actually one point we have not hit on yet is the importance as a leader,
Mentorship.
anybody that's moving into authority, wise counsel is crucial.
100%. 100%. And in the business world, we call it mentorship, right? But
Mhm.
in church, you have counsel and you have your
Mhm.
deacons and everything, but it's important in every aspect of life. Like if you don't
Absolutely.
have somebody that you can lean on, that you can turn to, that you can ask questions from, that you can solicit feedback from, and who's honest with you, and if you don't have those things, it makes it so much more difficult.
Absolutely. I There was a time in my life, and I want to say this is probably one of the most chaotic times because I was growing, but I was in so many transitions and they were like rapid fire.
Hmm.
I had a fitness coach helping me like stay in shape physically. I had a mentor in
Hmm.
business, like professionally, because I didn't have my own business at the time. So I had a
Hmm.
professional mentor, I had a personal mentor. I was in therapy.
Same.
My therapist was my mentor in that
Yeah.
season. I had a mentor just in life. I had a mentor in relationships. I had somebody that would counsel me, or not really counsel me, but just they were wise counsel as far as relationships,
Yeah.
because at that time I was having problems in my relationship and there wasn't a part of my life that I didn't have somebody that I could go to. And
Yeah.
I feel like when you were in those heavy transition seasonings, I'm hungry. No, seasons. When you're in those heavy transition seasons,
Mhm.
it's important to cover your bases. And if you don't know somebody, pray to God and ask him to send you somebody,
Yeah.
because the Bible says that we need wise counsel. And
Yeah.
when you're making big decisions, when you see that your life is elevating, there, I have a church mother who's like a mentor church mother.
Mhm.
I call her my third mother, but I will call Miss Phyllis and I'll be like, God gave me vision for one of my companies to do this and this. And she goes, not in this season. You got way too much to do right now. She was like, just because he showed it to you now doesn't mean he's telling you to do it in this instant.
Right.
That's wise counsel.
Exactly.
They don't have to tell you what to do, but they will
Right.
steer you in the right direction to
Yeah.
have the thoughts and reclaim the thoughts of, okay, maybe not now, but later. No,
Yeah.
you don't need to question God on everything right now. He was just being gracious enough because you asked God for vision. So he
Yep.
gave you vision for the future. Now
Yep.
stop trying to run.
And then we call it the future for a reason. It's not right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I've had to lean on those type of people.
Hmm.
I have people at my church, people I'm really close to. Um, a couple. There's a couple that I used to live next to, and they met each other at church. He's like a couple years older than me, but he's been through a lot of the things that I've been through. She's a therapist, right? So
Hmm.
I lean on him for like, hey man, am I doing the right thing here? And I lean on her for mentally speaking, am I am I making the right moves? So you can find those people. I believe God will put those people in your life.
Absolutely.
They don't have to have titles, and they don't have to, it could be somebody you grew up with that just has that mind for whatever it is that you're going through. But you've got to lean on those people.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
makes it so much easier to transition, to grow, to
Hmm.
hear when maybe you don't think you're hearing from God, or you don't think God's talking to you. He'll Sometimes he'll talk through those people and they'll tell you, and you're still going to make the decision you're going to make. But God will use those people to help you discern what it is you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they'll be used in different capacities in different seasons. I have a person that was a mentor for me for years without even like you don't have to attach a title to
Yeah.
it.
You don't
I,
have to
I
say
think
I'm your
exactly.
mentor. Yeah.
You're my mentor. I want to ask you to be my no.
Yeah.
It's just somebody that you get wise counsel from. And
Mm,
this person in one season was like a professional mentor. I'm trying to climb the ladder. I'm dealing with different situations. Like he's already like highly elevated in his
yeah.
career. And I'm like, this is what I'm going through. Can you just like shine a light here? Just talking things out with this person. But then in another season, he and his wife were like my wife's counseling relationships. I'm like, everything in this relationship is going wrong. And they're like, girl, we are praying for you to find a husband. We talk at night to see like who do we know that could be a match for Courtney. Like
I have those people too. Trust me.
I love those people. Thank you. But and sometimes your wise counsel is just somebody that you talk to, and they may not give you advice in the moment, but they may be somebody that prays for you.
Right.
And so allow them to be the counsel that they need to be in the capacity that they need to be your counsel in.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's 100%. I I I I think it is highly important for not just people as they become leaders.
Mhm.
Just for anyone,
Everyday
everybody
life.
everybody's my pastor has a mentor,
Mhm.
has people that he leans on. So it doesn't matter where you're at in life, professionally or personally, you need those people in your life.
Yeah,
We
it's a level of accountability.
and it's community, right?
Yeah.
I have found that one of the most important things in life is community. It just is. Whatever that looks like for you, community is so important. Trying to do things on your own and isolation, and we're not called to be in isolation. We're called to be together. So community for me is one of the biggest important things
No,
people can find.
I agree. You and I met at a networking event,
Facts.
which shows like no matter what season you're in, you need community. But
Yeah.
the beautiful thing about what you're saying is one thing that people don't realize is as God elevates you, people fall off. A lot of
Yeah.
people are going to fall off because they can't go with you. They don't have the
Yeah.
capacity. They don't have the energy. They don't have the desire.
Yeah.
Or they could be an absolute deterrent because they're not meant to be in that kind of space. And you carrying them along with you
That's hard.
kicking and screaming, like, stay with me through this,
Yeah.
like, we're going to ride at the top might actually cripple them in what God has called them to. You
Right.
have to be able to let people go in the ebbs and flows of seasons. So having counsel that can meet you in the season that you're in at the level that you're at is paramount because your best friend can still be your best friend in your
Right.
personal life, but
Mm.
that's not who you go to with your business needs, with your understanding of like leadership and different things like that. And the fact is, once
Mm.
God elevates you or takes you to a different place that they're not comfortable in, they will try to drag you back because they can't come up.
Yeah. Well, whether they do it, knowingly or unknowingly, they
Exactly.
they will. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not always intentional.
Right. And it's to be honest, that is the hardest thing for me. I don't
Mhm.
let people go. I don't let
Oh, yeah.
I'll keep you if you were with me from third grade, you're gonna be with me right now. If
Hmm.
if you're in my world and somehow God brought you into my world, I never want you to leave it.
Hmm.
I'm that guy. So what you're saying is so true. You need other people to help you see that, hey, where you're going, these people probably aren't going to go with you. Or
Yeah.
where you're going, you're going to need to find something else. So yeah, it's for me, it's tough. It's one of
Oh,
the
yeah.
toughest things.
Oh, that's probably one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do
Yeah.
is letting go. I've said this. I don't even know if I said it on this podcast. No, I
Mm.
did because I did it in Loren's episode last year. My minivan theory that I learned from someone on Instagram,
Okay,
and we're
let's
like,
hear
what is it
it.
like? TikTok University, YouTube University. I'm at
Yeah,
Instagram University sometimes,
you gotta
but
learn.
pretty much. But there's a minivan theory that says, in a minivan, you have three rows. The person that is in the front row is the person that's your wise counsel, the person that has impact, the person that you go to. They have the most visibility to where you are in that season.
Hmm.
The person in the middle, this can be a parent, this can be a friend, this can be somebody who's lateral to you that's moving up, but you wouldn't necessarily go through to them for the hard stuff, but they are somebody that encourages you and they're a companion in that season. The back row are the people, it could be your childhood best friend. They don't hold too much space in your life anymore. You wouldn't go to them for wise counsel on your business or the season that you're in.
Hmm.
They are the people that are the closest to getting out of the minivan. But the
Wow.
thing about minivans that I love is that the doors open on both sides. So as people get out, they can get back in later. So at this stop, you may not even be in the third row. You just might need to become an acquaintance. A lot of the people in the third row of our
Hmm.
lives are the people that are becoming acquaintances that we don't talk to very much, but we have that third row because we have family. We
Yeah.
have family and people that are in the community that still mean a lot. So they're still in your life. They don't have to get off. It's just not their time to shine in your
Right.
life. And so when it comes to friends and business partners and associates and things like that, sometimes they just need to get out of the van. Your work
Mm.
friend is no longer in the third row or in the second row because
Yeah.
now you're elevated to manager or you're at a different company.
Right.
And so you guys don't talk that much anymore. They're still an acquaintance because if you see them out, you're like, hey, what's going on? And they might jump in the back seat for a minute
Yeah.
when y'all catch up and your
Uh,
lives might align for a little bit and then they get back out. But
yeah.
the beautiful thing with a minivan is you can drive with the doors open.
Look, this
People
is
can move from front to back as they need to because sometimes wise counsel ends up
yeah.
in the back row and they become an acquaintance because
Right.
you've moved past them.
Because they were there for that season. Yeah.
Exactly. But
This
they may
is
become a middle seat person in another season. You just don't know.
this is how I know it's tough for me because even that analogy like affects me. Like when you're saying, I was like, no, don't move to the back seat. Stay up front. Don't move. Even the analogy like affects me like viscerally. So yes,
But you got to learn how to place people.
you do, and it's tough. It's
Hmm.
tough, But I've always struggled with like boundaries
Hmm.
and not letting go when I should. So even that, but you're 100% correct. People are there for reasons and
Yeah.
seasons. So yeah.
Exactly. But I feel like for me, this worked for me because I now had a place to put people. I had a visual. I could see
Ah,
myself
yeah.
driving and I could see like
You
the
could
front
see
seat. The
who's
front
in
seat
the
is the smallest seat. So you have the least amount of people with you as you move.
yeah,
You don't need a big circle. And
yeah,
like that middle, like people come and they go. Like they're getting out, they're coming in, they're getting out, they're coming in
yeah.
because they're a
And it's
companion in the
fine.
season and they're nothing in the
Yeah,
next.
yeah,
And so, and then the ones in the back, they're like, oh, that's my family. I still love you and I still need you to be there, but you're not somebody I'm calling for advice in this
yeah,
season. You're
yeah.
just somebody that I see at the family reunions and stuff. You still have a place in my life. And
Mm,
it allowed me to I can actually visualize the person that I put in what seat and
got it.
understand, like, I'll mentally say, okay, you need to come out of the middle. It's time for you in the back. Or this person in the middle actually just got out. So I'm okay with that. And I feel like for me, it's less daunting because as I'm focused on the road ahead, people can put themselves where they need to be. And I can just look in the rearview mirror to see where everybody's at.
Yeah, yeah. I what it reminds me of, I have a friend, best friend, and we didn't speak for a while. Some things happened and we didn't speak for a while. So if in your analogy, he was in the back seat.
Hmm.
As I was going through my, we'll call it my valley season, I the spirit came upon me and said, you need to go fix this relationship. So I had to go drive the minivan, go back and pick him up from the road and place him in the front seat so we could fix and save and replenish and repair our relationship. So in the
Hmm.
context of what you're saying, you're right. There was probably a reason why we needed that separation. We needed that time. We needed, because I wouldn't have been the conversation that we had, we would not have been able to have had he been in
Yeah.
the van the whole time.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
you know what's interesting though, and the Holy Spirit just gave me this. The person in the front seat has their own door because a lot of times they're willing to leave. You don't have to move them.
Yeah,
They're
that's
willing to
crazy.
say they're the therapist, like my therapist was like, "You don't need to see me as often as you do anymore." And I'm like, "No, I like it here." But he was like, "I'm opening the door to leave.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you, do not
Yeah.
come back here. You're fine."
We're in a good space.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so that's the beauty of wise counsel. They know when they're not needed. They don't push.
Yeah.
It's just the season ended. So they will open the door and get out themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really good for me. Like as I read and as I pray, I need to make sure that I'm moving myself out and not remaining in
Mhm.
places where needs me to get out of the van and go find a different van.
Yeah.
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 That's
I
good.
feel like it eliminates a lot of the struggle that we have if we just put people where they're meant to be.
Yeah.
A lot of the
That's
heartache, a
good.
lot of the just a lot of the stuff we go through. But you
My,
know what?
there's no
I
seats in my van. It's
have
like I have couch seating. You know.
you got shaggy
Yeah,
carpet, there's
yeah, yeah.
disco
There's a
ball
ball on
hanging.
the front.
Oh my goodness. No, but you know what I love about this conversation? I feel like as far as like leadership goes,
Mm,
we've hit so many pivotal topics
yeah,
and just across the board. Like
yeah.
I love these conversations because you don't know what direction they're going to go in,
Me
and it's
too.
so fitting for you.
It is. I love doing like this. I'm not a straight line person at all, so I love it.
That's good
I
stuff.
love it.
Well, I know we're coming to the conclusion of this episode, but I
Yeah.
do want to plug your company. I think what you're
Oh,
doing is amazing,
okay.
and I am all for supporting Christian businesses. So,
Yeah.
where can everybody find you? I will put everything in I will put in the description so you guys can reach out to Andre if you want to.
Huh.
But let's go ahead and
All
hear it.
right. I just started TikTok. It's like Andre Hughes Unfiltered. My IG is Andre C Hughes. So I like to make it easy for people. But the business itself is the Hughes Leadership Institute. So we're still building it out. I'm on LinkedIn, obviously. We are keynote speaking. We're helping middle managers and newly promoted managers essentially come from a place of grounded leadership. So clarity, authenticity, how to lead in a power vacuum, right? Where you may not have received all the things you need to receive before you stepped into that role. Okay, well, what does that look like? You still have people that you have to lead, but you're not the real decision maker. Somebody else is the
Mhm.
decision maker. So how do you lead in that? I help people on the side, and it's growing really fast. Helping people become better leaders is what God has called me to do, and I'm good at it, and I'm passionate about it, and
Clearly.
so, Hughes Leadership Institute, we're building out the website now. It'll be up shortly, and it'll be on my IG and LinkedIn. But I'm here for one-on-ones, keynote speaking, going into businesses and doing seminars. We're here for all of those things.
I love that. And you have a book.
I do have a book. Yeah,
I
that's
know.
good. You remember that? I wrote a book on interviewing. That was really my what I was drawn to in the corporate world, helping people interview. The book is called Beyond Art and Science: The Social Contract Theory to Interviewing. I believe it's a social contract. You shouldn't have to
Mhm.
perform to interview. You should be building a relationship. Does this work for you? Does this work for me? It's on Amazon now. Thanks for the plug. I appreciate that. I wasn't expecting that.
That's what I'm here for.
That's good. That's really good. But yeah, I'm out in the community in Charlotte. I'm out here. I love talking to people. I love helping people grow. I'm still on my journey. So yeah, I really appreciate this platform. It's great connecting with you. And this platform it's needed. It's really needed. And
I love it.
yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it.
Yeah. I appreciate you for coming on here, and I appreciate everybody else for tuning in and listening to this conversation. I pray that it was helpful and that you guys enjoyed the banter because I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah.
I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye. Thank you for joining today's conversation. I hope something shared today encouraged you, challenged you, or reminded you that you're not walking this journey alone. If this episode spoke to you, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this with someone you think may need it. Until next time, keep showing up, seeking God, and becoming the person He called you to be. Bye.